News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Further evacuation notices for one fire and possible evacuations in another new fire. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning for Monday, July 31st, 2017. Sky is clear but smoky, as it will be most of the summer. Right now we're sitting at 61 degrees in Missoula. Our newscast this morning is sponsored by Selway Armory on Stockyard Road, with more guns and ammo than anyone at Missoula, Montana's premier firearms dealer. NBC Montana is reporting new evacuation orders have been issued for the Sunrise Fire. The Mineral County Sheriff's Office has issued a Stage 3 evacuation order for residents who live along Verde Creek Road 450. Also under Stage 3 evacuation orders, Sunrise Creek, Quartz Flats, and Quartz Creek areas. The Sunrise Fire south of Superior added 900 acres Saturday in an afternoon of heavy fire activity. Fire crews were hurrying to cover every possible scenario as that fire spreads. After days of hard work, firefighters are confident that they have defensible fire lines in those areas. However, they were worried yesterday about strong winds that could push the fire north. Burning as close as it is to I-90, the fire has attracted onlookers and photographers who could potentially put themselves in danger. Jill Cobb, the fire information officer, said, "We've had a lot of people stopping to catch that next selfie." And she says, "No picture is worth someone's life." Missoula County Sheriff's Office deputies are currently notifying approximately 170 residences in the Placid Lake area of an evacuation warning. This is for North and South Placid Lake roads, Shining Shirt Road, and Beaver Creek Road. It's the first step in which the Sheriff's Office deputies attempt to make in-person contact with affected populations. The warning is to let affected citizens know a situation is threatening their immediate area. Residents there should be taking steps to prepare for a short notice evacuation and or self-evacuate as they see fit. With an evacuation warning, they emphasize pre-packing, pre-planning, which is moving livestock and finding options for people with disabilities, and enrolling in Smart 911. It should be noted, according to Brenda Bassett, the public information officer, it's not an evacuation order. Should there be an order, deputies will make an effort to recontact residents in the evacuation area. And the Lolo Peak Fire is putting firefighters to the test as it burns in rugged terrain, but officials are taking steps to protect the public and any nearby homes. Here's Fire Information Officer Nick Michael with details.
Approximately 900 homeowners have been personally contacted to assess their property for structure protection. Based on our historic knowledge of fire behavior in this immediate area and where this fire has potential to move, we've constructed about 10 miles of control lines behind the homes and the fire, and that's been completed along Highway 12 corridor.
Michael describes the fire breaks that have been under construction all weekend.
The majority of this control line is approximately 100 feet wide, consisting of a 12-foot wide dozer line down to mineral soil, and adjacent to that is a 90-foot shaded fuel break. The shaded fuel break consists of removing dense stands of small trees and brush and limbing the lower limbs of the larger trees. This fuel break is intended to reduce the intensity of the fire as it approaches the dozer line.
Michael said the strategy is to stop the fire before it has a chance to threaten any homes in the area.
Some of the line locations will use pre-existing open and closed roads, while others will be constructed with heavy equipment and incorporate natural features like rock slopes. To reduce the intensity and impact of fire and keep it off private land, these lines will be used to fight the fire before it moves closer to the control line down on the valley bottom. As
of Saturday morning, the Lolo Peak Fire stood at 4,120 acres. The cost to battle the blaze at the start of the weekend was $2.1 billion. On Saturday, western Montana was hit with some extra fishing restrictions due to the warm weather. Public Information Officer Vivica Krauser.
What we're looking at is what's called hoot owl fishing restrictions on just the upper Clark Fork River and Silverbow Creek. And so that stretch of the upper Clark Fork runs from the headwaters all the way down to Rock Creek, where Rock Creek flows into the Clark Fork. So on this stretch of the Clark Fork, fishermen cannot fish from 2 p.m. to midnight.
Krauser expects to see more restrictions levied soon.
The triggers for fishing restrictions have to do with flows in some cases, but also water temperatures. And when we see water temperatures rise above 73 degrees for 3 consecutive days, that's when we look at implementing restrictions. And we're not quite there on other rivers, but we're sure getting close. And with a hot, dry forecast like we have, I would not be surprised to be looking at more restrictions.
Although the fire season appears to be much worse this year than last year, the fishing restrictions this year are in place at almost the same time as last year. A former U of M football player is back in jail after his release last year for a conviction of raping a friend while she slept on his couch. The Bozeman Daily Chronicle reports that Bo Donaldson was booked into the Gallatin County Jail Friday for an undisclosed parole violation. He's being held without bond. It's not clear whether Donaldson has an attorney. Donaldson was a running back for the Grizzlies, sentenced in 2013 to 30 years in prison with 20 years suspended after he pleaded guilty at the 2010 rape in Missoula. The case came to light after the university ordered an outside investigation of sexual assaults involving students. It was also featured in author John Krakauer's book, Missoula, Rape and the Justice System in a College Town. 19-year-old Justin Weeder is back in the Missoula County Jail after violating court orders forbidding him to have contact with minor girls in relationships that began in 2016 when he was first charged with sexual intercourse without consent. Deputy Missoula County Attorney Jennifer Clark gave details on Friday in Justice Court to Judge Landy Holloway.
He is on release currently for 2 cases in district court. One has 3 victims that are underage girls for both sexual intercourse without consent and sexual abuse of children. Then there was a case after that one had happened and he was told not to have any sexual intercourse with anyone under 16, where he was charged with another count of sexual intercourse without consent for a girl who was under 16.
Clark went on to detail the current charges.
He has been revoked twice on his release prior for having contact with the victims in those cases. One of those that he had prior contact with and was revoked is the same victim in this case. So he's had contact since those prior revokes with one of those victims. This new case arose out of one of those contacts. We've learned that he's had contact with that victim as recently as June of this year.
A $200,000 arrest warrant was issued for Weeder on Thursday. Court records indicate that the Lolo man used his cell phone to film 16-year-old Jane Doe having sex with other men. His bail was continued at $200,000. Finally, 2 Montana inmates want their lengthy prison sentences reduced after the U.S. Supreme Court banned mandatory life without parole sentences for juvenile offenders. Derek Steelman is serving a 100-year prison sentence for a man's beating death in 1996 when Steelman was 17. The other inmate, Stephen Keith, wants to delay his own appeal until Steelman's case is decided. He received 3 consecutive life sentences for killing a family during a robbery in 1985 when he was only 17 years of age. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Smoky sunshine today with our high temperatures in the low 90s. Winds will be out of the west-northwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, overnight lows in the mid-50s. We'll see high temperatures in the 90s on Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.